all of these kind of different hats. Generalist is the efficient way of saying this. And it became really clear to me that being able to speak clearly, concisely, effectively, compelling is a really important skill, especially with AI going up and up and up. Being able to clearly communicate your ideas is incredibly crucial. And when I did the training with them, I thought it was going to be like, this is how you speak. Don't do this, do this. It wasn't. It completely like opened my mind to essentially trusting myself. And that sounds a little bit cheesy, but trusting that my brain knows everything it needs to know, and to just trust that the words will come. And they do this through an amazing selection of games. Games and like kind of, yeah, you'll see. I'm not going to give too much away. But yeah, so I'm an advocate. I have been through this myself. I found it really, really effective. So I'm really excited to share this with you all today. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Aliénor.
Thank you, Millie. That was an awesome introduction of Ultraspeaking. I don't think I've ever had such a good one. So welcome to an Ultraspeaking workshop on clear and concise speaking. It will be interactive, like Millie said, and we will be playing some games or having you do some speaking. And each time someone does a speaking rep, I'm going to give you a little piece of feedback or a tool, a tip, a trick. And we're trying to collaboratively create some kind of toolbox skill set that we can have to be clear and concise speakers in the real world. I'm delighted to see so many wonderful faces on my screen. I know it can be a little bit intimidating to speak when you have a lot of people in front of you, but I will try my best to make it an enjoyable experience and make it feel like a success for you. So please do raise your hand, ask questions, type everything in the chat that you're thinking, and I will try as much as possible to include your thoughts into this workshop. The first thing I actually really want to know before I dive into giving you all of my life's wisdom on clear and concise speaking, I would really like to know, what is it that made you come to this workshop? What's something that you would like to learn from a clear and concise speaking workshop? And you can type that in the chat, and you can also raise your hand and I will unmute you so that you can tell me what you'd like to learn from this workshop. Yeah, Uttara, you've raised your hand.
Hi. Thanks so much for hosting this. Lovely to meet you. What I would like to learn is reducing the ums and the ahs and having a kind of wider range of vocabulary, because I know that, especially with like impromptu speaking as well, or if I'm in an interview or something, using those keywords that sometimes I say like stuff or thing, but I can say something better and then, you know, it elevates the conversation, something like that. Thank you.
Yeah. And does that only happen for you in like high pressure situations that you have lots of ums and ahs and you say things like stuff and thing? Or
Yes.
Does that happen everywhere, just in high pressure?
Mostly high pressure, where I feel like I need to deliver, because otherwise, like if I have a casual conversation, I'm like, oh, relativity or like democratization or whatever, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's a little bit more of like an audience or where I have to perform.
Yeah, there's a kind of narrowing of our abilities that happens when we're under pressure. And a lot of being a good speaker is learning how to handle the pressure of speaking, which is why I get you guys speaking, which is why I put you on the spot and I ask you to do that, because there's no point me giving you a tool that you can use with your friends and your family. You have your vocabulary, you have no ums and ahs, you have access then. That's why we practice the tools in front of all of these people. So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, okay, ums and ahs. Good vocabulary. What else have we got? We've got less filler words in the chat, how to stop digging a hole and trust that your points are coming across well. I like that one. My tone, threading the line between sharing necessary context versus dumping a lot of new info. How to speak well with senior stakeholders. Get across your knowledge and ideas in a foreign language. The foreign language thing comes up a lot as well. We have about half, I would say, of the people who take one of our courses at Ultraspeaking, English isn't their first language, and they come for fluency and for kind of flow. And it turns out that actually you need a much less elevated grasp of the language than you think you do. What to do when you panic. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like the more I prepare, the worse it gets. I get nervous and it comes out as a word salad. This is so true. Nerve seems to be one big theme. with speaking. It's like how to handle the pressure of being in the moment, how to handle suddenly my heart is beating and my palms are sweaty and I feel like everything is narrowed. There's like blood pumping in my ears. How to handle that and still give a good presentation. That seems to be one thing. And then there's this other part, which is how to sound smart and confident, how to avoid ums, how to have good vocabulary, how to have one clear point and stop rambling off in a certain direction. That seems to be the two categories that are coming up. My question is going to be, is anyone going to be brave enough to raise their hand and give us a little demo of what their speaking looks like right now? Maybe someone who popped it in the chat and thought, "Ooh, I'm really struggling with this." Would you raise your hand? Give us a little demo of your speaking. I'll guide you through it. I'll give you the exercises and everything. And I'm going to try and, on the fly, with the help of the audience, with the help of the feedback, help you construct a more clear way to speak. Millie says, yeah, we're cheering for you. Someone do it. If no one does it, it's going to have to be Millie, by the way. So where she's hoping that someone else volunteers. Nice. Ellie, Karen. Oh, wonderful. 2 volunteers. Fantastic. Ellie, I'm going to unmute you. Ellie, what brings you here today?
Oh, sorry. I muted myself when I think. There we go. There's a thing already. Everything that everybody said in the chat, I've been doing for ages. And yeah, I'd really like to learn how to break out of that.
Cool. So everything everyone said in the chat, which is ums and ahs, getting panicked, getting stressed. What's the biggest one for you?
The massive info dumps. If I feel that I'm interested in what I'm saying, then I'll be like, and I really feel like I need to tell you everything about it rather than selecting and responding.
Yeah. So going on, I like that massive info dump rather than selecting and responding. Okay, I have an exercise for you. Before we do that, I am curious for anyone who's watching Ellie, can you pop in the chat? How does Ellie come across right now? Because Ellie is proclaiming to be someone who does lots of massive info dumps, who gets nervous, who says lots of ums and ahs, does all of the terrible things we've mentioned. And I'm just curious to see, off the bat, what's our kind of first impression of Ellie as a speaker? Yeah, I 100% resonate with what you're all putting in the chat.
Thanks,
Friendly,
guys.
confident, reflective, calm, pretty confident. Does that land with you when you read that, Ellie?
No, I think they're talking about someone else completely.
Yeah. And probably you're already finding reasons for why what they're saying is not true. Like they're just being nice because Millie told them to be nice. And generally,
yeah, that's really fun. Wow. Yeah, I'm blown away. Thank you.
It's true. It's true. 50% of speaking, I would say, is your skill set, and 50%, if not more, is your mindset. And a lot of us tend to have a mindset that's well below the level of our skill set. So Ellie, you came in here and you were like, oh gosh, I've already made a mistake. What a disaster I am. And in reality, you're coming across friendly, confident, warm, competent, just from the get-go. Your default is all of the words that people are putting in the chat.
Wow. Yeah, it's completely kind of what the story you're telling yourself in your head about how kind of derailed it's all getting.
Yes. Yeah. And your head only listens to what's going on inside of you. So it only listens to your heart beating really fast, the exaggerated loudness of the and the ah that just rang, the thing you just said that sounded really wrong. And it focuses on that rather than all of the other stuff that's happening, which is your smile, your energy, your composure, your charisma that everyone else is focusing on.
Thank you.
Well, based on that, that wasn't even the tip. That was just the beginning. Do you want to do some speaking with me? Do a rep. Okay. What's something that's coming up for you right now? Have you got like a project update, a meeting, a presentation? What kind of speaking do you generally do and struggle with the most?
I am launching and developing and trying to build a product and having conversations with it about it with as many people as possible. So I'm doing quite a bit of trying to explain my idea and explaining where I've got up to and where I think it might need to go next, but then also trying to get feedback, but at the same time also trying to tune into what's landing with somebody, whether they're like
Right.
telling me, oh, it's a nice idea, but I don't think it's got any kind of distance or longevity. But yeah, so that's the kind of thing. Just lots of one-on-one conversations that I'm really trying to tune into and try and really hear back what people are saying about it so I can decide what to do next or what to stop doing.
Yeah. So the challenge is kind of partly reading the room, figuring it, like keeping it quite open, not giving them this is what it is, but more like, what do you think of this?
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to then get you to tell us about this project you're working on. I'm going to put a little timer on the screen, and this is going to be the kind of baseline version of Ellie speaking before I've given you any tips or tricks or things like that. And what it's going to look like is like this. There's just a little timer that comes up right here. Can you see that?
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm going to give you 1 minute and 30 seconds. And I want you to just tell us about this project you're working on, as if I said, hey, Ellie, I heard you're working on something new. Tell me about it. And then we'll workshop your pitch or your opening part of the conversation.
Okay. Thanks, Aliénor. I'd love to talk to you about it. It's something that I've been working on for a while, but then when I really started thinking about it, it's actually the question that I've been trying to answer throughout my working life for a long time. And it's all to do with how people working within teams can notice and then share and replicate their best practices, their really human practices, the things that are really difficult to put your finger on, particularly if you're the person doing it. So because you can't imagine a way of doing it that's different because it's so kind of ingrained and innate in your mindset. So what I've been trying to think about is, particularly in tinier teams, as teams kind of potentially get smaller, as people need to do things that are outside of their, comfort zone, outside of their like normal wheelhouse, how can we share within teams those really great bits of innate human practice that are quite hard for AI to replicate? How do we identify those, kind of observe and capture them, and then share them within a team within a way that makes real sense and actually lands and then starts to shift the needle on things that are really important within a business, or any kind of organization, any kind of team. So I've had that as a consulting practice, and I've been developing an app on that, but it's still kind of just trying to build it and trying to engage and see where to go with it.
Nice, awesome. Stuck to the timing, fantastic. Let's get some love for Ellie in the chat. Or what did we notice? How clear was that? What do we like about Ellie's demeanor? Ellie, how did that feel for you?
Yeah, okay. I've kind of like when I first started, I've been building this idea and kind of thinking about it since February. So and Generalist World people have been absolutely fantastic and very kind talking to me when we've had like one-to-ones. I've been saying, so what do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm trying to do this thing. And then, so I feel like it's not the first time I've tried to do that.
Yeah.
But then it would be great to hear which bits are kind of like resonating and things like that.
So that's fantastic. So you can hear Ellie's question. Please answer her question in the chat. Which bits resonate? What was the bit that stood out for you in that speech? And perhaps you can also say, if you want to, what was the bit where you lost a bit your focus or your attention? Yeah,
I think actually, this is really helpful. Yeah, trying to get to the bit of what it actually is. I think I did that about 3 seconds towards the end.
Yeah, Joanne says the goal of the product is clear. Tied everything together at the end. Yeah, okay. So the feedback is similar, which is at the end, we kind of understand what we're doing. We're building an app to do all of that together. But there might have been more context at the beginning than we needed to, which is what we came in saying.
Your life story.
I love giving my life story. I tried very hard not to give it today, but I do have one if anyone wants to hear it. I'm ready to give it afterwards. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take you through a method called the accordion method, which is where we use time constraints to help you simplify your message down to one thing. And this is a preparation method that you can use in advance of going into a meeting or a conversation where you're going to have this kind of one-on-one interaction, where you're going to give this update. And what most people tend to do when they prepare their speaking is they tend to write it down. Not everyone has a different process, but we tend to write it down. And we tend to think about all of the things we need to include. And what we're trying to do here in this exercise is find out what's the one thing that when people leave this conversation, I go away to my partner, I said, oh, I met this person called Ellie. They were awesome, and they're building this app that does, they're doing, you get one sentence. And we need to figure out what is that one sentence for you.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to do the same thing again, right? So give us the same update on what are you working on, but I'm making the time shorter this time. I'm actually lopping off 30 seconds. So we're going down to 1 minute, and then we're actually going to keep lopping off the time until we get down to this one sentence. And your job is to choose of the things that you said, which are the ones that are important that you want to prioritize, and what's the stuff that maybe doesn't need to be there this time around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's try it. What are you working on at the moment, Ellie?
Okay. Thank you a lot. Yeah, I'm really excited about it, and I'm really excited to share it with people. What I'm trying to do is find a way that people can, within teams, share their best practices and onboard their teammates through an app, and also, guide their organization through what makes their team, their organization, them personally, what's their secret sauce, what's their absolute kind of like the magic that they bring as a human to what they do, and how that can be noticed and observed and shared and then embedded within their team so that everybody can benefit from that, and people can learn how to do some of the magic and secret sauce that some people do innately. And I really firmly believe everybody has some of those magic moments and their complete innate ways of doing things. And actually, in the age of AI, what we really need to do is not lose those things and find ways of amplifying them and sharing them with more people. And it's already gone.
Yeah, I know. But that's fantastic, right? Because we got something different in this time. We got a different angle on the same project, which is exactly what we're looking for. It feels like first time round, you said it one way, and then this time round, you realized towards the end, you're, oh no, what I really want to say here is that I actually believe it's that we all have something special. And that's where this app came from. How did this second version feel for you compared to the first one?
Yeah, good. Better.
Better?
Yeah.
What was better about it?
I felt like I was trying to do it more from the other person's point of view, and also trying to land things for what it might mean for them in the future, rather than just why I happen to find this interesting.
Yeah, and we had someone in the chat, Yulia, saying much clearer this time. I was more engaged because I got the why and the what very quickly. And Monica saying the piece about not losing human skills in the age of AI is super good context setting. What's the magic they bring as a human in the age of AI? Yeah, and I felt that too. I got more of the why you care about this. And I saw your eyes light up when you started talking about that piece of human in the age of AI. I felt like Ellie suddenly was there. So that seems to be an important piece.
Yeah.
So now what I'm going to do, Ellie, I'm going to challenge you. It just keeps going. And we're going to bring it down to 30 seconds. So this isn't the perfect pitch of your product by any means. This is the preparation element where I'm asking you now to prioritize. In 30 seconds, what's kind of like the main thing about this project that we really need to know? Want to try it? You got this.
I think that the main thing about this project and what I really want to try and share with the world is, sorry, my son is asking me to put his code in. No, I'm talking.
I need it, please. I need it.
Is that everybody has got magic that makes their teams work, and through this app, I hope to be able to share that with the world at scale so that everybody can create and share and amplify and explain their magic.
Fantastic, and fantastic mum magic on display there. Double claps for Ellie's ability to deal with distraction. If you want to deal with that now, you can, Ellie.
He's literally shoving his phone in my thing, so it's some kind of raccoon is available on Grow a Garden or something, and he's going to miss it if I don't.
Oh no, disaster. But we're so close to finding your one thing, Ellie. What are we going to do? Which is more important? We're getting loads of feedback in the chat.
I like that, the celebration of the human
Awesome.
touch. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting when you get feedback from people, sometimes they understand your main message better than you were able to articulate it yourself. It sounds like that resonates with you. The app sounds like a celebration of the human touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. As if you nailed that whilst being on mum duty, Superwoman. Yeah, extra round of applause for that. So now we're kind of like sharpening the message, right? We're down to the 30-second pitch. It might start feeling like you've left stuff out. Did it feel like you left stuff out? Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think it's getting, I feel like I'm getting, with everybody's help, like closer to how to describe and talk about this so a way that it lands and, might take off.
That's awesome. And now, because we're getting closer, but we're not there yet, we have to go to the final conclusion of this exercise, which is the 15-second version. This is the 1 or 2 sentence summary on a high level. What is the thing you're working on? This is kind of the thing that when I go away and shut my laptop and I tell my friends and family about it, you want me to parrot out in that one sentence, right? We'll try it out, and if it comes out wrong the first time around, it's okay, we'll just do it again. There's no like pressure here, but I'm going to give you 15 seconds and I want you to just give me, in 1 or 2 sentences, high level, what's like the most important thing that I need to know about this project?
Okay. So I'm building an app, which means that everybody, teams, individuals, can go from tacit, siloed knowledge that has their magic all over it and share that with the world and their teams and make the difference that they want to in the world.
Cool. Okay, awesome. We've got 1 sentence. We've got some woohoos in the chat. Oof, a mini elevator pitch. It felt like you were thinking a lot about that one, Ellie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did it feel like when you got it out in the end, that sentence, I'm building an app that allows people to take what's kind of siloed inside of them and communicate it with everyone? Did that feel like the right sentence? Is that the highest
A bit. I
thing?
think probably why I was hesitating, because actually if that is what is going to resonate more, it's a slight pivot in what I thought I needed to build. So it's actually helped me to think about, actually, have I been slightly going down it from a slightly different angle, and actually to be able to explain it and to be able to make it make sense, maybe I need to slightly tweak things and have a slightly different direction. So
the original direction would have been, in like 1 sentence, it would have been what?
Much more kind of team-based, rather than thinking maybe there's an individual aspect to it. But this is about communicating, it's not about what I'm sorry.
They are both the same.
Yeah.
Speaking is merely a symptom of how you feel about yourself, how clear you are in your ideas. Speaking is just like a symptom of who you are, I think. And so if this exercise is supposed to help you refine your thinking and not just your speaking, it's totally normal, and it happens to me all the time, even when prepping for this workshop, that I get to the final sentence and I'm like, man, I don't think I really know what I'm talking about. I wasn't as clear on my main point as I thought I was. That's the point. That's the point. We launch into this communication without really being clear on what our main point is. And so our audience also leaves our communication not being super clear on what the main point is. And that's where it goes wrong. Do you want to give it to us in 1 sentence again? What do you think at the end of this exercise is your best approximation for what this project is right now?
Okay, yeah.
I won't give you a timer, you can just tell us.
So this is an app that teams can use to find, identify understand and explain their secret sauce, what makes them magic, and then share it throughout their whole team. So everybody gets to bring their magic and scale it.
That's fantastic. I'm seeing some nods. I'm seeing Tristan nodding loudly as I can see his face at the top. That is so different from where we were at the beginning. Millie's clapping. Millie's giving you a yes. Let's get some love or thoughts for Ellie in the chat. That's brilliant. Well done, Ellie. Great job. Star emojis from Joanna.
Thank you.
How did that feel, Ellie?
Really useful. Really, really, really useful. Thank you so much. I was like, my finger was pressing it, and I was like, don't press it, don't press it. And I was like, no, I need to. This would be good for me. And it's been absolutely kind of game changing.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for volunteering and for going through that exercise like that. We saw your speaking and your main point get clearer in front of our eyes. So thank you for being brave enough for volunteering.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ellie. Awesome. So this exercise is a kind of prioritization exercise. The whole point isn't to get you at the end giving these 15-second elevator pitches. I don't want everyone walking around kind of doing that unless you want to. The point is to help you refine your main sentence. The second half of the exercise, which is why we call it the accordion method, you go down the time constraints and then you pull it back out again. So then you go back up to 30 seconds, back up to 1 minute, 2 minutes, however long your presentation, pitch, keynote, conversation update is going to be. And when you're going back up the time frame, because you know what your main message is, you can add in your stories, anecdotes, data, or what else is missing in a much more structured and prioritized fashion. So that's the accordion method for preparation. What we did with Ellie, if you start with 1 minute, do 30 seconds and do 15 seconds, that takes 1 minute and 45 seconds in total. It's something you can do like in the bathroom on the way to a meeting. It's something you can do in the morning in the shower with your watch like kind of hanging on the wall or something. It's really not a long exercise. And if you only have 30 seconds, then you can do 30-second version and a 5-second version before you walk into a room. So that's the accordion method for finding your main point in advance. But it doesn't solve the pressure of being on the spot in the moment. It doesn't solve me picking on one of you right now and saying, tell me about a project you're working on. And you have to give me on the fly the perfect, clear, concise answer. So I want to hear from you. What are some techniques that you use right now or that you think you might want to use that would solve for that problem? How to be clear in the moment, off the cuff, on the fly. You can pop it in the chat or you can unmute yourself. Well, raise your hand. I breathe and ground before answering. Take a breath, a pause. Okay, so there's a theme there around pausing. I'm big on pausing. Stretch and connect to my body. Have set phrases ready to drop. Tristan, what do you mean by set phrases ready to drop? Can I unmute you?
Sure. Sort of elevator pitch, kind of like tabloid headlines. I'm thinking of terrible examples like stop the boats, but it cuts through. It's like bop, bop, bop. And it's something that can almost be like the beginning of something. And so I use the tabloid example because it captures people's attention, but it also summarizes what the hell you're talking about in one sentence, and have it just like a real kind of easy to drop in. That's one. Yeah. And also, I guess the other thing is, depending on what the situation is being really hyper context aware. I feel like generalists are amazing at this, of being able to like, oh, you're talking about apps for teams. Well, I've got an app for a team, that sort of like, and suddenly people are like, let's go, I'm here. Even if you're talking about something that's not that direct in terms of segue. Those are my two things. It ended up two.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Everyone I think has a different toolbox that they use right now. And it sounds like for you, it's almost like having done this accordion method in advance and having a few pre-prepared sentences that you know work, that you drop into all of your speaking. And my challenge to that would be that, what if they ask you a question that you have no pre-prepared sentences for? Then what happens? You have a point on that. Let me unmute you.
There you go. You've done it. Sometimes I feel like it's okay to put your hands up and go, I don't know, or I'm human, or actually just acknowledge, like, oh, that's a really wonderful question. I think I might have to get back to you on that one. There's all those sort of like almost a little bit corporatese kind of like, let's circle back, but how do we keep the train, or like, I'll park that one and that's over here, that's pinned, but this is my train of thought. Let's go. I've got my 10, 15, 5, 3 seconds. Let's go, it's that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big believer
Yeah.
in being able to say, like, I don't know. I don't want to venture in this territory because I have no idea what I'm saying right now. I think it's much better to say I don't know than to try and venture into something. But sometimes you do know. Sometimes you do want to answer the question, but you're just not, like, you don't really have the tools to answer it in a non-rambly and kind of information dumpy way, right? So I'm going to actually get a second volunteer. Ellie's had a go. Now let's see if we can get someone else to come up and be on the hot seat. And I'm going to try and coach you through this kind of on the fly way of speaking. What happens if I give you a random question? Demi's hand goes up. Okay, wicked. Demi, round of applause. Hello, let me unmute you. Oh.
Am I unmuted? I think
You're unmuted.
After you mute. It's interesting. But no, this is what I struggle with. So let me put myself up for it.
So this is what you struggle, which is like, I ask you a random question and it gets a bit rambly.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it rambling or is it something else? Like, what's the problem?
I think so. I think because I'm hyper aware of it, I work in technology, so I'm always trying to like explain technical things to non-technical people, and I tend to try and relate it to the person as much as possible, but I don't really know if it's actually landing as clearly as it could be. So like if I'm talking to someone who I know, like baking in their spare time, I'll try and like explain like coding but with cakes, and that's me trying, like really trying to help them understand, but I then can sometimes have people completely misinterpret what I'm saying, or like not actually, like I'm actually not speaking clearly enough. And then that's me.
That's what happens. Okay, fantastic. Then let's do something fun with you, Demi. Let's get a random question in the chat. Anyone who's listening can pop a question they'd like Demi to answer in the chat. And I'm going to put a timer back on again. And Demi, you're just going to answer this question unprepared, randomly from a stranger in the chat. And then we're going to try and workshop, how would you make that answer more clear on the fly? Oh, great question. Cool. Let's go with Fred saying, what is coding? I think that's a good one. That's quite a technical thing, but you can reply to this audience. What is coding? Let me pop a timer on for just 1 minute. Okay.
So coding is like, it's like a language. I would say it's a language, and in a language you'll say something and you can give instructions, but you're doing that but like to a machine. So you are, you're speaking Spanish to a machine, and the machine hopefully understands you for coding well, and will do the instructions that you've asked it to do.
Ooh, we've got Concise here. We're 30 seconds off the boundary.
But is it clear?
But is it clear? So let's pop some feedback for Demi in the chat. We didn't even do the kind of initial check-in. What's Demi's kind of natural energy? How does Demi come across? Monica says that was so clear. Oh my gosh, Demi, your face lit up too. That's concise. I found that easy to understand. Does that kind of feedback resonate with you, Demi?
No.
How did it feel for you?
I wasn't sure if I was being, I think it's that gauging. I often, then I'm like, have it made sense?
Yeah. This feels like the
Does that
biggest
make
theme that's
sense?
actually coming back in this workshop, is like both for you and for Ellie. The way we judge ourselves and how well it went seems to be really different from the way others are judging how well it went. And then that kind of impacts your speaking. Because you're uncertain of how well it's going, you lower yourself a little bit. You kind of like are speaking with a slightly unsure way of speaking, right? Because we naturally do that when we're unsure about how we come across. But in reality, again, Demi, it sounds like your default is pretty clear, which is awesome. Binzi says the ending tapered off a bit. I struggle with that too, ending something properly. Have I got the tool for you guys? We are going to fix this right now. The ending is, for me, the most important part of the speaking, because that's when people tend to remember. That's the thing that people tend to remember the most. There was this experiment that some scientists did years ago where they measured how people remember experiences, things like going to the theatre and things like being on the roller coaster. And they came up with something called the peak end rule, where people tend to remember the peak of the experience and the end of the experience more than anything else. So they remember the peak of your speaking and the end of your speaking more than anything else. And the good news is, super easy to always end well in speaking by using something we call a summary prompt. A summary prompt is a sentence, any sentence, that prompts your brain to summarize what you've just said. So the most simple version of a summary prompt might be, in summary, in conclusion, what I'm trying to say is, and these are sentences that you don't need to know the answer to in advance. You don't need to have like a prepared thing. When you say the word in summary out loud, your brain, it's like an LLM, it's like AI. When you feed words in, it just completes the sentence for you and it will extract the summary from what you've just said. There are loads of different summary prompts. So Demi, what's one that you might use, or maybe you do use in your speaking right now?
I think I always end with, does that make sense? But that's not good.
Not a summary prompt. We could turn it into a summary prompt to make that make sense. The most important point would be
sense. That's, yeah, I can say to make that make sense. And then
to make sense of that. Yeah, you could say that. What's another one that you might use?
I like the example, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So in summary, what I'm trying to say is coding is a language.
Fantastic. We'll use that one. Let's get loads of other ones in the chat. Pick one. I want everyone who's listening to reflect on this right now. What's the sentence that you would use at the end of your speaking? Everyone has a different one. For some people, in summaries, not comfortable. For some people, what I'm trying to say is too informal. Find the one that you would use. TLDR, if you only remember one thing, in a nutshell, so many of them, and type it in the chat to remember your special summary prompt. Mine is what I'm trying to say is, or the main point is. And Demi's is, in summary, what I'm trying to say is. So what we're going to do is we're going to get another random question for you. I'm going to put another 1 minute timer on, and you can do whatever you want for the first 50 seconds. You can ramble on however you like, answer the question, and then 10 seconds before the end, you're going to use one of these sentences. In summary, what I'm trying to say is, you don't have to know what it is in advance, and you'll wrap it up. So let's get another question in the chat. I know you're also putting your summary prompts in, but what's a question that we'd like to hear Demi answer? Okay, cool. Thanks for all these questions. I love them. They're all super different. Let's try, what is the thing that most people get wrong about coding? And you have 1 minute to answer that question with a little prompt at the end. What's the thing, or what's one of the things that most people get wrong about coding?
That's a very good question. I'm going to talk about vibe coding because I know we're all generalists here. So vibe coding is great. I think we've got all the great tools to do that now. We've got kind of conversational coders. We've got ChatGPT or Claude to like help as well. I think the thing that people get wrong is it's the quality assurance element of it. So while you can say to the vibe coding platform directly, this is what I want, you then need to kind of check that it's actually done that. And then you need to go back and say you didn't do these, this, this. And you need to get more specific as you keep going. And I think that actually takes that's the most headache of it. But the good thing about vibe coding is that whereas when you're talking to engineers, they are humans and they get very frustrated when you're asking all of these questions, ChatGPT always says, that's a great idea. I didn't think of that. So in summary, what most people get wrong about vibe coding is that you do need to check and quality assure it and circle back.
Fantastic, super. Let's get some feedback for Demi in the chat. I loved that summary prompt. As soon as you say, so in summary, I'm like, oh, we're getting the important piece. And it was so clear. You just hand it. It's like you're chewing your food, my food for me before you give it to me, you know, like it's just handed to me super easily. And look at all this feedback in the chat. Love this, so clear. Good hand gestures, amazing. TED Talk ready, clear, love it. Knowledge dropped. We need to get Demi for a vibe code. I would attend that workshop 100%. So good. I loved it. What even is vibe coding? Demi, do you want to answer that question quickly? What even is vibe coding?
Yeah. So whereas like we traditionally had like software engineers code and that's their profession, they've studied it, all of that. Now with AI, we are getting platforms such as Lovable. I only really love Lovable, but there's other ones whereby you can like just type what you want. Like I want a website like Spotify, but make it green. Oh no, Spotify's already green, but make it like another color. And it takes I guess spoken language and it turns that into code. And a lot of people are then using that to create lots of you can make like personal like workout plans. You can do a lot of personalized things now that you can kind of code it yourself, but it's not perfect. And we're not engineers, and there's other like things which you need to think about, such as quality assurance, security, all of that. But it's fun. Yeah, it's fun. Ooh, I just saw a code.
Millie's got your back. Generalist world is here for you, clearly. Awesome, very cool. I saw that Paulina put the summary point. The summary point was a cherry on top from your previous answer. How did the summary prompt feel, by the way, when you were giving that answer? Like, how useful is this tool for you?
It helped me kind of say, okay, you've said what you need to say now. Finish. And like, I think someone in the chat said, oh no, it was you, about like our brain's a natural LLM, because like it just then came. It was like, yeah, actually, the point of what I've been saying is this. So yeah, it helped me, and it sounds like it also helped the listener as well, like the audience. But it also helped me say, okay, I'm finishing now.
Fantastic. Yeah, for me, a summary prompt is, or a prompt. Basically, I just prompt my brain whenever I feel like I'm rambling, going off track, losing my main point. I will just say a sentence that prompts my brain to do what I actually want it to do, which is to summarize. In summary, and your brain can't help but complete that sentence. You forced yourself to complete that sentence, and it does it naturally for you. Awesome. Thank you so much for volunteering, Demi. That was fantastic. A very clear speaker we've got there, and we've got some tips on vibe coding as well, so I'm going to try that out later.
And thank you everyone for the chat responses. I really appreciate it. I'm going to read back on it as well.
Yeah, well done. I would love to get one more volunteer to try these summary prompts to prove that it's not just Demi who's like super clear and Ellie who's just fantastic at speaking. I want to hear from one more person to try out the same thing, answering a random question and summarizing at the end to show that anyone can do this. It's really quite straightforward. Who wants to try? Who feels like they don't really want to volunteer? They almost got away with a whole workshop where they didn't have to volunteer, but they might as well. Just 1 or 2 reps with a summary prompt at the end.
One of my favorite ways to know if it's your turn is something I learned at a women's retreat that I did earlier this year. And if your heart is pounding and your hands are sweaty, it's your turn. And it looks like we've
Yes.
got someone who raised their hand.
We've got someone. I love that. If your heart is pounding in your hand, it is your turn. Yes. Okay, we've got Lead Hers Academy. Let me unmute you. Oh, I just muted you. I'm sorry.
I think we're there. I'm Gillen. It's come up as my business name.
Fantastic. We'll take that. Hi, Gillen. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And let's get a question for Gillen. Straight away, off the cuff, we're going to chuck you into this exercise. Let's get
great.
a random question. We don't even know what Gillen does.
I'm a psychic leadership coach. I work with women and intersect the worlds of spirituality, leadership, and entrepreneurship.
Oh, fantastic. We've got a one-sentence version there. Look at that. Gillen has done her accordion method already. No need for clear speaking. Let's get some questions. We've got, what do you love most about your job? Let's get a few more in there.
Yeah. I can't see them though. So
that's okay. I'll read it out
on my
to you.
phone. Great.
No problem there. Cool. Okay. I'm going to pick one of these questions. Can you see the timer when I put it up? Does that still come up for you on your phone?
Yes.
Yeah,
I can see
fantastic.
it. Yep.
I'm going to give you 1 minute and I'm going to ask you this question. What's the hardest part about what you do? What's the hardest part about what you do? And about 10 seconds before the end, I want you to use one of these in summary sentences.
Yeah, great. I love this question because the work I do is quite esoteric. And the women that I work with are battling generations and lineages of conditioning that have them completely disconnected from their bodies, their spiritual selves, and their own innate wisdom. And so communicating what I do and why it's beneficial and how it's going to change the way someone leads, the way someone runs their business is one of the biggest challenges that I face. And particularly when we talk about spirituality and the opportunities that that has, considering we're in an age of AI, is both the biggest opportunity and the hardest thing. So in summary, I would say that helping understand why women need to connect back to their bodies, why we need to lead from our cycles, and the importance of your spirituality in a purpose-led business.
Fantastic. Wow, cool. We've got a nailed it in the chat. Wow, a pro. Great summary, the bomb.
Thank you.
Awesome. How did that one feel for you, Gillian? Is that usually how you'd answer a question?
It was different. Normally I wouldn't say. So I've been speaking my whole career. I was an architect before this. So I feel like, and I'm literally about to launch a podcast tomorrow, which is why I'm here. I don't normally use in summary. So it was interesting to use a language that I wouldn't have used before. Normally I would say, if you take anything away from this, take this. This is the key point. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's nice to always expand the way that you speak.
Yeah. And Ellie says, yeah, it worked really well. For me, the in summary worked really well too, because you basically highlighting that I have to sort of, this is the most important thing that I should take away, and our ears kind of perk up as listeners when we realize that you've said something like in summary.
Yeah, I think I'm going to use that. Like, I've never thought to use that before. So thank you. I love these things where you get to like expand your vocabulary. I think it's really powerful. So thank you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for volunteering. Thanks for getting on the hot seat and being our third volunteer. It was great chatting with you. It was great chatting with all three of you who volunteered today. That was really, really awesome. I'm going to wrap up now in a clear and concise manner. And basically, for me, the most important thing about being clear is to find your one point that you want other people to remember. Did I mute myself? Rather than all of the wonderful things you want to talk about, picking one thing. And if you have some time to do that in advance, you can use the accordion method to refine your thinking while speaking out loud, to find your main message and get these kind of snippet sentences. And if you don't have time in advance, there's no worries. You can just use a summary prompt at the end of what you're saying. And you can also use it throughout what you're saying, by the way. And there are a bunch of other wonderful tools that we can use for clarity. This is just like a taster session. If we had 4 hours, I could keep doing this for 4 hours. There are things like the pause that we didn't talk about. There are things about like adjusting for your audience. There's a structure for clear speaking. And we do offer a whole bunch of courses at Ultraspeaking. We offer one called the Professionals course, which gives you skills targeted towards professional speaking, things like preparing for presentations, giving feedback, that kind of stuff. And we have one called the fundamentals, which would be really good if you're someone who struggles with the anxiety of speaking. We teach you how to kind of feel more confident in your speaking, vary your energy, get comfortable with the pause, tell stories. And you do have a discount. You have a discount with Generalist World, and I know that you'll get sent that all out after this workshop. So no panic there. And I do also do workshops for companies if you want to hire me, or if you want me to come back to Generalist World, I would love to. Otherwise, I'll open up the floor for any questions or hand it back to Millie, I suppose, with 3 minutes left to go.
Well, originally we thought we'd have 1 minute left to go for questions. So, you know, you've like tripled the expectation. Well done. This gives me so much energy because I love seeing the progress that people make in like minutes. It's wild. And this is what I experienced. I had to have a lie down after each of my ultra speaking sessions because the transformation that you make in such a short time is a little bit magic. If there are any questions, we probably have time for one or two. Feel free to speak. You can raise your hand. I guess this is the point. Feel free to speak, raise your hand. Otherwise, you can pop it in the chat. Just lots of this is amazings. Well, we're down for that as well. What I'm going to do is, while we have been on this wonderful workshop, I have actually drafted a little post where everyone can connect after this. Edjo, I'm just going to share this with you. Did you? There we go. I'm never sure if this will be shareable with folks. Does that work?
Let me share the link real quick.
Thank you so much. So yeah, come and hang out on this post afterwards. Oh, what is ultra speaking? Maybe this is a good chance to do the 15-second.
15-second pitch. Ultra Speaking is an online school for communication skills, essentially. We try and tackle the real issues of speaking. So rather than telling you like how to sit and how to put your hands in a certain place and how to use the tone of your voice to persuade people, we try to make you feel at ease in the speaking situations which you face every single day. And the way we do that is by playing games. So what we did today was the most simple game where I put the timer on and I gave you some quick tips, but we also have a whole online platform with a bunch of different games where each game targets a different aspect of your speaking. My favorite one, I'll just show you quickly, is Triple Step, where you get a random title that says making a mess, and then you've got to incorporate these words coming up on the screen while you're speaking. And this is a game that helps with clarity and also with comfort in the chaos, because speaking sometimes feels like you're stuck inside a paper bag and you can't breathe, when in reality it should feel pretty straightforward. Anxiety is actually a normal reaction to speaking because it shows that you care about what you're saying. But I think most of us get super immersed in kind of like this, with all the social media and everyone looking amazing on your iPhone, it feels like you're a bad speaker if you have anxiety, but it's not true, right? Speaking isn't like chess. You don't have your moves planned out in advance. It feels scary because you're doing it in the moment, right? That's why you have that fear, but it doesn't have to feel that way. You don't have to be a mathematician at speaking to be perfect. You just have to get those reps under pressure. And that is why we have these games at Ultra Speaking, to help you practice speaking under pressure. So that was my little demonstration, my little pitch of what Ultra Speaking is like. And you can go to ultraspeaking.com and just plug in your name, sign up and play those games immediately.
I love the comment. That feels like a sick rap. It did feel like a bit of a rap. You're so great at using the pause as well. I'm like nerdy about this stuff now since going through the training. I'm like, oh yeah, like this is so much fun. And yeah, I think the coolest thing about this is it really is just a skill that anyone can develop. Like seeing Aliénor do that, you're like, oh my gosh, like, is she just like really amazing at this? And yes, she is, but also this is a skill. You can sharpen it. And this is the whole point of summer school. So we're at time. Thank you so much, Aliénor. Thank you, Ultra Speaking. Thank you, everyone. And thank you to our wonderful volunteers, Ali, Demi. This has been amazing. And I will see you on LinkedIn. Come hang out. Come share what you've learned. Can't wait to connect with everyone. Ciao.